All right, how's everyone doing? Hey, all right, welcome to your first con tips and tricks. My name is Kijani.
And I'm Hogwash, or Racket.
A little introduction. I've been attending cons since 2008. This is my 32nd furry con, which basically means I'm old.
I've been attending FurryCon since 2012, and I have no idea how many cons I've gone to.
All right, so...
I'm also old.
So, how many of you, this is all your first furry con, I'm assuming? Or should
well,
be
most
of you, all of you. Okay, good.
Oh, thanks.
So this panel, we're just basically going to go over some tips and tricks for you to help you maximize your experience, some things you might not be aware about, some things that we both wish we knew when we first started attending conventions. So the main rule, the most important rule is always wear your badge at all times. That gets you access to the con space, your little badge medallions that you got at registration. Now, who has heard here of the 621 rule? Anybody? Some of you? Okay, we'll go over that.
No, yeah.
So the 621 rule for cons. The 6 stands for 6 hours of sleep. Sleep is very important. It's important to be well rested, not only for your immune system, but it also avoids the midday crash. So if I don't get enough sleep, I kind of tend to crash in the mid-afternoon, and that's when all this stuff happens at the con. So you want to make sure you're well rested, it'll help you enjoy your experience.
It's also great for your mental health too. I mean, no one likes to be tired, you know, in the middle of the day. You get exceedingly irritable, and you know, you just get frustrated and don't want to deal with anybody, or you know, wait in line if you're waiting for any major events. So very important on that.
All right, and the 2 stands for 2 meals a day. Your food is your fuel. It's very important to have nutritious meals. Now, I know a lot of us at cons, it's hard to get a good meal, so they'll sustain themselves on junk food and snacks, and those do not count. Those are not meals. So try to have 2 nutritious, well-balanced meals a day, so you can keep yourself going. And you can take the 1.
Oh, sure. And the last one, you know, is pretty important. It's at least one shower. Not for the entire con. Please try and at least shower once a day. Let's see.
Yeah, especially if you're a fursuiter, because you do sweat a lot in fursuit, and it's important to keep up that personal hygiene. It's, you know, body odor is not only unpleasant, but it's also kind of a biohazard because it's caused by bacteria. So if you do start to have that smell about you, staff will not hesitate to tell you to go back to your room. So don't be that person, basically. Mm-hmm. So that's the 621. Let's see. Let's talk about some tips to avoid con crud. So con crud is that mysterious disease that everyone gets after FurryCon sometimes. Now, the mask requirement, because of COVID, that helps a lot. You might have heard that there's very, very few instances of con crud after DLFC or other cons that have happened since the pandemic. But most importantly, wash your hands, sanitize your hands. It's great to carry around that hand sanitizer. Use it often. And also pace yourself. Don't, you know, go too crazy. Drink lots of water, hydrate. And you can use those little, those like emergency things, the extra vitamin C supplements to help boost your immune system as well.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. So you make over panel events. Okay, so I know that a lot of you this is your first convention, so there is quite the laundry list of things to do. You have plenty of panels. We have major events, dance competitions. We have the Fursuit games. Andy's Adventure Wonderland is on this floor as well. I was there last night, and it was a pretty phenomenal thing that I've actually never been to either. If you guys have smartphones, then you can always check on the schedule app. That does exist, and then it has a breakdown of every day from Monday up until Sunday night, I believe. Yep. So make sure to just keep track of that, and then that way you can plan out your entire weekend. So that way you can maximize the amount of fun and enjoyment for the convention as a whole, rather than try and stress and get from one point to the other.
If you haven't downloaded the Sched app, it's pretty awesome. I have it open right now. So there's the whole convention schedule, day by day, and you can select, once you make an account, you can select your own event, so you have your own personal schedule, so you can see exactly what to do on every day, and also you can have it send you notifications too, because it's very easy to get caught up, especially at your first con, in everything that's going on, and you're gonna be like, oh shoot, I missed this panel because I was doing something else. Well, the Sched app is there to help you with that, so use it if you can.
It's a great reminder, you know, not just looking at your phone calendar, but the schedule itself, you know, just for your own personal upkeep and management. So, yeah. So let's see. Let's talk about Flare. So this is my first year talking about, or actually being in Flare. I got recruited. But Flare is there for just the safety purposes. So we have basic EMTs on standby if there's any medical emergencies that we need to, you know, keep in track of. You can talk to any of the volunteer staff who can try and get a hold of us. We have radios floating around everywhere. And it's basic medical stuff. So even if you have, you know, if you're having like a panic attack, or, you know, you have low blood sugar, things like that, things that we can manage on hand. But we are also able to contact emergency services if we need to make that decision. We also have the lost and found that's down there. So if you're losing, you know, your keys, your wallet, if you lose a fursuit, I don't know how you would do that, but you know, you can always bring it down to lost and found down to Flare, and then it'll be safe there. So if you've lost anything, make sure you come and check with us. Let's see, what else is there? There was some things that the Flare wanted me to mention too, so give me a moment. Yeah, actually, that was pretty much it. Cool. So, but yeah, so if you have any questions, you can always come to Flare. If you have any kind of, you know, services, if you're having issues, or, you know, you're having a bad experience, you can always talk to us, and we can try and figure out what the issue is. If you're having any convention like questions or anything like that, we also have the con operations, which is right next door. So feel free to drop by them at any time as well.
Good. And if you are a young furry, 18 and under, this con is so friendly to all ages. It's wonderful. So if you're under 18, we have a chill space in the Queets room, which is 505 on the 5th floor. It's for young furs and their parents only. And we also have a special youth furry games. That's 9:30 a.m. on Saturday. It's just before the main fursuit games, but it's going to be easier, more kid-friendly games for you, so check those two out. And now let's talk about fursuiting. So how many of you first-timers or first-time fursuiters are new to fursuiting? Maybe some of you? Yeah, okay.
You get a first time way out in the back.
Way out in the back. Okay. I got a few of you.
How's it going so far? Good?
Good, all right, so we like to hear it.
Wonderful.
Okay, so we have some do's and don'ts here for the first-time fursuiters. Number one thing, drink lots of water, please. Stay hydrated, especially because we have to wear these masks underneath the fursuit head. That just makes everything more warm in there. Let's see, be aware of your surroundings too. This is actually, it's pretty wide open con space here, but in case it does get more crowded, you want to, make sure you're not flailing around and hitting other people. Make sure you're aware of your trip hazards and stuff like that.
Yeah, depending on how well your vision is, because even if you're a first-time suitor or a long-time suitor, everybody's got a different field of vision. So it's always important to be aware of chairs and things on the ground, so that way you're not tripping and falling, even if you're narrow or wide vision.
Yeah, and also if you can go out with a handler, it's just a second set of eyes and ears for you, and also they can take some photos for you to capture those memories as well. So if you can go out with, especially when you're first starting out, go out with a handler. And also don't push yourself beyond your limit. It's really, I've seen it so many times when you first get a fursuit, you're so excited, you just want to go all out as hard as you can. Unfortunately, that's probably not the best idea. Until you learn, because everyone's got a different stamina, how much you can handle in suits. So take frequent lounge breaks. The headless lounges, rest areas, that's why they're here. They have fans in there that you can rest, get cooled off, and drink some water as well. Headless lounge etiquette. Let me go over that real quick. So it's for fursuiters and handlers only. Or if you just need to pop in to get someone, that's fine too. No photos, of course, because most people will have their heads off, and that's a privacy issue.
Yeah. So extremities, large, yeah, so make sure you're keeping track of, all of your extremities, your, large tails, antlers, limbs, because there are suitors that have, 14-foot long tails. So just making sure that that goes back into being, paying attention to your surroundings and making sure you're not stepping on someone else's tail or, you could potentially trip over that too. And that goes along with, whether you're in suit or out of suit.
Okay, so let's talk about removing your head. So this can be a very controversial topic in the fandom. I believe, I'm not sure if you're the same with me, but we believe here at Anthro Northwest, if you're on stage performing a character when you have that fursuit head on. So when you take that head off, it does break that magic. Now, of course, there's exceptions for medical emergencies. Your health is obviously most important. So if you do have something that coming on that requires you to remove your head, please do so to be safe.
Yeah. So yeah, that goes into this what the breaking the magic is what that's called. So like he said, if it's a medical emergency, like you absolutely need to do it, then feel free to do it. We're not going to stop you, But if you're in the magic, then just do it to your own stamina, like we were going over. Just don't overdo it. That's that's probably the most important thing. But feel free that if you absolutely have to take your head off, then don't be afraid to do it.
Okay, let's talk about interacting with fursuiters. We're going to have a couple of fursuiters join us here on stage. We have Andy, the mascot, and Incog, the deer. If you guys would come on up. Okay, you want to narrate? Oh, I'll narrate. Okay, sure. Okay, so I'll have you guys...
Human interaction.
Sure. Okay, I'll have you guys go in front here so everyone can see you. Okay, so the most important thing, the first thing for when you're interacting with fursuiters is just because you're wearing a cosplay costume is not consent to do whatever you want to do with them. Always ask for hugs, because some fursuiters may not be comfortable giving hugs. Everyone's got a different comfort level. So how would you do that non-verbally to ask for a hug? Exactly, yeah, just extend your arms out wide. Now, if the other person that you want to get a hug from does the same thing, then you've given your consent for that interaction, so you guys can hug.
Yeah, and there's also the the typical, like Andy was doing just now. If you extend your arms, even if you're out of suit, and if you have that type of anxiety where you don't know if you want to ask them if you want to have a hug or not, you can always do the same thing. It's very universal. So doing one of these. So if Andy, you do the arms, or you can just simply go yes. Then obviously, then you guys can hug.
Okay, another thing this is the don't part of the interacting with fursuiters. You never ever want to surprise a fursuiter from behind or glom pump them like this. Yeah, don't do that, because when you're in a suit, you're already you feel vulnerable because you have limited mobility, limited vision. So anything that surprises them is not a good thing to do. And also, this has happened at recent cons. Don't lift anybody up without their permission either, because that can definitely hurt them. You don't know if they're comfortable with that, so yeah, just don't do it. Yeah. Okay, now we're gonna do some limited visibility and fursuit vision demonstrations.
Yeah, so Andy, if you could, I'm gonna come up behind you, okay? And then I'm gonna put my arms out, and then I want you to put your arms like up or high when you can see my hands, okay? Ready? So I'm gonna show you, and then when you just put your hands up when you can actually see my hands. That's Andy's field of vision. So right now, without them turning their head, they can't see me. So doing this is not okay. Doing this is not okay. Doing this is okay, is acceptable. So let's go over there and see how their field of vision is. Okay, let's do a top-down field of vision, because fursuiters have a blind spot in between their head. They can't see anything, and also, depending on the size of your eyes, because every costume is different, of course, they have different field of vision. So Incog, let me know when you can see my hand. Okay, look straight forward for me. All right, just tell me when you can see my hand. There, not until there, he couldn't see my hand. So anything here and below, he cannot see if he's looking straight forward. So keep that in mind as well.
just make sure, basically the main rule is make sure that the fursuiter has your attention before you interact with them, so they're not surprised. Okay, so the fursuit head muffles sound and voices too, so if you do need to get a fursuiter's attention, make sure you speak loudly and clearly, because basically it's like, foam in there, so it's muffling everything, and also...
yeah, and with masks, it makes it that much more complicated.
Yeah, exactly. Some fursuiters will not talk, so it's up to every individual performer how they want to play their character. Some of them obviously have voices that are in character, and that's great, but you have to respect that if they're silent. I know Andy's a silent character, so yeah, everyone's different, so you just have to respect their...
So saying hi, hi Andy, that's the type of reaction you'll get. So that's how you can basically prepare for whether they're a vocal suit or if they're a non-verbal suit. Is they'll just give you hand gestures or they'll actually just approach you and say hello. So
I think that's it for the interactions.
Yeah. Any other interactions that you get that suitors will think that you can think of?
Oh yes, thank you. Yeah, Incog reminded me. So a lot of suits have extremities, like if you're a deer suitor, you might have antlers or an extra large tail. It might be fun to just kind of play with them, but don't do that because some of them are very delicate, and it's just just rude to do it. To be honest with you, but yeah, just for the fursuiter's safety and also for the safety of their costume, don't do it.
What else, Andy, are you thinking? Nose boobs? Do it. Oh, yeah. We got to ask for nose boobs. So I think any kind of, what Andy's kind of trying to get at is any kind of contact, you probably need permission to actually touch them first. Because, there are some people who don't like to be touched. Like for me, for example, I hate it when people touch my shoulders. I tell them, no, don't do that. Same thing with, you're wearing a, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 suit, and then you got to make sure your hands are clean, because if you just go up to Andy with Cheeto encrusted fingernails and you go like this, Andy's not going to be very happy. So just keep in mind that, when it comes to, approaching, make sure you have their full attention, make sure that, hands are clean, everything is clean, and then go from there. Good?
Okay, I think that's it. Let's give them a round of applause to our fursuit helpers here. That was great, thank you. And we will open it up for questions at the end. If you guys have any questions, we'll address those. We're getting close to the end here, so. All right, thanks guys.
Sure. All right, so we noticed that a lot of people here were first-time congoers, correct? Yeah. Okay, so it can be very difficult. So does everybody? I mean, you guys don't have to raise your hand or anything, but social anxiety is a big thing in this community. So it can be very difficult. So you have the support system if you have friends or you have your handlers, things like that. So always traveling in groups to kind of have that support, that if you're too concerned about your anxiety, you don't have to do anything you don't necessarily want to. Like I said, health is your #1 concern. So if at any time you feel uncomfortable, you can always step away, try and, breathe, kind of collect yourself, and then maybe revisit it if you feel like it. Or if not, then, it's not going to hurt anybody's feelings or anything. So, let's see.
So something I can suggest if you're looking to meet some people, because when you're new, it's hard to have that network if you're just joining the fandom and don't know anyone. Something I can suggest is to go to panels with people of similar interests. So there's species meet and greets here. There's art. If you're into making fursuits, you can go to panels like that, and try to introduce yourself and get some contact info so you can keep in touch with them later. And who knows, you might make a friend for life that way. So. Okay. Yeah.
So, like we said, everybody is here for their first time. We have a lot of options. The dealer's den is one of those big ones. So we'd like to, make sure that everybody gets a chance to take a look at all the merchandise that the other dealers have to offer. Everything that you do to support them, makes them feel that, that supports their business, it supports the convention, it supports everybody, and then of course it shows the interest that you have in them. So it makes a lot of people feel good, including yourself. Let's see.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. If you've never been inside a dealer's den, it's like a giant furry shopping mall with anything you ever wanted. There's art, you got fursuit accessories, everything you'd ever imagine furry-wise. So a tip that I have that I do myself, for the first pass to the dealer's room, I'd kind of do a quick look at all the vendors and make a note of the ones you may want to revisit later that have goods that you're interested in. And also because most people here are on a budget, so you know how much you can spend, so have an idea of what you want to purchase within your budget. And then the second time you go back in, kind of hit all those, the vendors that you had on your list. And also as a courtesy thing, it can get pretty crowded in that dealer's room, vendor's room, so if you're talking with your friends, make sure you step away from the dealer's tables to not block access to potential customers, because that's not good.
So when it comes to traveling to and from the convention space to the rooms, elevators obviously can get pretty crowded after major events or some panels. So it's a common courtesy to maybe give fursuiters that priority. So if you see one that's standing for the elevator way back in the line, it's a nice courtesy for you to give them the opportunity to go up, so that way if they're ready to desuit and they're overheating, things like that. So it's a nice gesture to give them the priority on the elevators, especially with the elevator rule now being only four people per car. So that's going to be big, because the lines are probably going to get extensively long after the fursuit parade, competitions, and things like that.
Right, and many fursuiters don't care if they have priority, but it's just kind to offer it. But one thing you have to do, if there are any non-convention attending guests, you have to give them priority. It says that in the code of conduct for this convention. So if there's any guests that they don't have a badge, they're not with the con, and it's apparent they're not with the con, definitely let them on first.
Okay, so repairs. Yeah. So repairs. So repairs. If you're making any adjustments or any repairs, the room is 601. This basically has everything you need, including sewing machines, hot glue guns. They're also in the fursuit lounge if you need to do any quick repairs.
And there's actually a panel on fursuit repairs today, done by Queenie, a good friend of mine. She's awesome. So do that at 1:30 p.m. I don't have the room, but it's on Sched. Because, yeah, it's good to know how to repair your costume, if you have one. Okay, so I guess pretty much that's all we have. In conclusion here, let me say this. Anthro Northwest is a very special con. It's family-friendly, it caters to all ages, and we want to keep it that way by having good relations with our host hotel, this awesome Hyatt Regency here. So without naming any names or previous conventions, poor decisions and behavior by attendees has contributed to the demise of other conventions. So just remember, every attendee, every person here is very special in that all the members to Anthro Northwest are kind of ambassadors to both this convention and also the fandom as a whole. We do share this hotel with non-convention attendees, so be aware of that. And just let your kindness shine through and show everyone how creative, fun, and awesome this fandom is. I know you'll all do that, so. All right, so any questions? So we have a mic up here, so if we're gonna, maybe a runner to, if anyone has questions. Any questions?
And any questions, whether it be in regards to fursuiting, the convention?
Yeah, anything regarding the first time con experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, do you want to, if you want to use the mic, you can.
There's a mic up here in the front. Can we have,
or if we can have a runner, just go to.
Yeah, we just need a runner, that's all.
Rex Colley is coming up here, he's going to run.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Okay. So that way you don't have to.
Everyone think Rex.
So the difference, let me get my words straight first. I think when you're in a con space, normal rules don't apply. Like, not the common etiquette when you're away from a con versus etiquette when you're at a con. This is supposed to be a safe place, is what I'm saying. So,
Correct.
I often sort of think appearances first, and I know it's normal when you're not at a con, but at a con, I'm wondering, are people still normally kind of like judging you, you know?
Well, being in this kind of community, people who have not experienced the convention don't really know what to think of it. So it's human nature to pass judgment initially. So, and then they can either think of you as, you know, someone strange who's seeking attention, or someone who has something different. Everybody, like, at a certain point, everybody is concerned about change and experiencing something new. So being outside of a furry convention, etiquette doesn't change. You know, personal space, you know, boundaries, personal boundaries, things like that, those will never go away, whether it's at a con or outside a convention, you know, whether you're doing on your own, or if you're at a furry event that's, you know, that's hosted by the local community. So, does that answer your question a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, hopefully that answers your question. If you need to elaborate more, you can always come talk to us afterwards if you feel uncomfortable. You okay?
Yep.
All right, any more questions?
Questions, comments, concerns? First time fursuiting questions? I mean, we've both been suiting for what, a long time?
A long time.
A long time. And, you know, when it comes to, when we were talking about stamina, I've done, you know, 30 minutes, I've done hours. I think my longest is 14 hours. So, it was a long time. So if you guys have any questions or concerns about stamina and how to, yeah, all the way in the back. If you're a nonverbal suit, you can always come up to us and then you can whisper it to us and then we'll talk, we'll voice it for you.
It's not really a question about stamina, but so much as, do you have to play a character when you're in suit, or can you just like be yourself?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Do you have to play a character when you're in suit, or can you just like be yourself?
Oh yeah, you can totally just be yourself. I mean, some fursuiters have, they feel that they're playing their character, and some people, they're just, you know, yourself, and that's perfectly fine. Yeah.
Yeah, so just think of your character as an extension of yourself.
Right, yeah.
So, you know, things that you normally wouldn't feel comfortable doing outside of a suit, you know, it's a projection basically. So, you know, me, I don't necessarily think I would find myself in a ball pit, you know, without my suit on, but with it, you know, it's gonna be a cute, you know, fun thing for people to watch, as opposed to seeing, you know, a 30-year-old adult hanging out in a 14-year-old's ball pit. You know, so just think of it as you don't have to be your suit or your separate personality or human personality. It's one and the same, because it's just an extension of who you are as, you know, as a being, not just as a, you know, a furry, a fursuit, you know, or just a human being. It is an extension of yourself. So,
couldn't have said it better myself. Perfect. Anybody else? Any more questions? Yeah. Oh. Okay.
Hi. My question is about taking pictures. Like, what is, because I love the suits and you're so amazing, but I don't want to be taking pictures without permission unless that's okay.
Yeah, it's always good policy to ask permission before taking pictures. Now, a vast majority of fursuiters are totally fine with getting their picture taken. Yeah. But yeah, it's just good common courtesy to ask, because on very rare case that they're not, they don't want to, you don't want to have any, you know, issues, legal issues or otherwise, so.
Yeah. I think the only thing that I would elaborate on is maybe if you're planning on taking pictures with suitors, you know, you don't know if they've been in their suit for 10 minutes, you don't know if they've been in their suit for like 4 or 5 hours. So if you're planning on taking pictures, maybe have the camera or your phone ready to go. Okay. So that way they, you know, if they say yes, you can just take a step back, snap that picture, and then let them go on their way. So that way they can get to where they're going if they're on their way doing anything.
And then just a follow-up, if there's a group of furries posing for a picture for someone else, would I be able to take one?
Yeah, as long as you're not, I think as long as you're not impeding the actual photo opportunity that was already pre-planned or anything. Because a lot of suit makers, you know, their suit mamas, papas, you know, the makers of their suits will probably get together and do like a whole shoot of just their suits. If you happen to come upon that, just make sure you're stepping away from impeding in that photo shoot, because they probably they planned everything accordingly. They could have potentially paid for that photographer to be there at that certain time. So as long as you're not impeding that shoot, I think taking pictures with the group would be fine.
Yeah, you'll see that a lot. Sometimes you'll start with like maybe 3 or 4 suitors, and all of a sudden you'll have 9 or 10, and then all these cameras. So if you want to get a good group photo, just kind of look for wherever all the cameras are. Yeah. Well, yeah, as long as you're not impeding the main photographer, because usually if there's an official group shot, they will have one photographer there assigned to that. So as long as you're not getting in the way of that, you should be fine.
Thank you.
Anything else? Good.
Looks like that's it.
All right.
Okay, well, hopefully this was informational and helpful to you.
Yeah. If you have any questions, we'll be here for a couple more minutes. If you want to just come up to us, if you don't feel like asking the questions, you know, in front of a crowd, you know, that's completely understandable. So, and then we'll be happy to share our knowledge over the last, you know, combined, what, 20
years? Yeah, a lot of numbers.
Yeah.
All right, have a great con, everyone. Thank you.
All right.